Hi there, Coach Sage Kennedy of VO2 Max Productions here with another training talk. Today we're going to talk about recovery after a marathon race or an ultra marathon. It's pretty similar, I think. And I've done a recovery talk before, a couple of them, where I kind of cover some basic nutrition and some stretches that I do, but it's more applicable to after I do a hard workout or long run, which I'm kind of training through, or your day-to-day training recovery. So you can check those videos out. I'll link to them at the end of this training talk video. But this one I want to do specific to after you do a hard race, marathon or up, or if you just did your first half marathon, this would be applicable as well because it's a long time on your feet. I just did the Boston Marathon a little over a week ago on Monday, and I'll kind of just walk you through the steps that I take usually to recover, because it's usually pretty similar. I do have a really busy racing schedule where I do a lot of marathons and ultra marathons. So I did 9 ultra marathons last year, so I had to recover as fast as possible. And I'll say that it's not ideal to race 9 ultra marathons in a year, first of all, or 9 marathons even. A lot of people could do it, but the time frame that you're given really influences kind of how fast you have to get back into things, and it is more risky, I should say, to try to rush things. You don't want to ever force anything. So I'll give you the rundown blow by blow after I finish the race. So Boston Marathon, crossed the finish line, was kind of dizzy. It was cold and rainy there at Boston. I was getting cold very quickly, even during the race, but after I finished, I knew it was going to be an extra bad problem with the rain. And I was lucky enough to be escorted into a special tent pretty much right away. I know other people had to walk like a half mile after the finish line. But you get one of those foil blankets maybe, or you get some extra, garbage bag on, whatever. Try to stay warm. And within, what you want to do is, you're pretty dizzy, you're pretty glycogen, depleted with glycogen stores. Your glycogen stores are shot. You might have low blood sugar. You're probably dehydrated. You got a bunch of muscle damage. So first thing you want to do is get some calories in your system, and start by drinking some water, but also some electrolytes. So if you could have a banana with your water, if you could have some sort of sports drink, anything with sodium, potassium in it, to start replenishing your electrolyte levels and to get rehydrated, because you're probably massively dehydrated, and to eat something. First thing, whatever you could eat, basically. I have been known to grab a beer directly after the race. Chicago, they had beer right there. Speedgoat 50K, I think Sandy handed me a beer probably 20 seconds after I crossed the finish line, and that was my first calories. But you want to eat something with some electrolytes and some proteins, protein, fat, and carbohydrates, ideally. This could be a lot of things. It could be potato chips even. I just want to eat something, and I could eat a Yugo bar a lot. They are a sponsor plug here. Good, source of protein, healthy, and usually I feel pretty pukey after I finish. I don't really want to eat anything within 15 minutes. 15 minutes is kind of the guideline window, though. As soon as possible, get some calories in your system, because you might just topple over and pass out. And you want to give your body some resources to start recovering and to replenish itself. Fruit's always good, banana's always good, whatever you could stomach. And then, you'd be looking at getting in a bigger meal in a little bit after that. But definitely, rehydrate and get some calories in your system. Now, next thing you could do, they had massage tables there in the tent. I didn't want to really wait in line. I was kind of in a hurry, so I was like, I'm going to go back to my hotel room, power walk through the rain, hobble, basically. I was barely moving, and shower off, take a warm shower, get into some warm clothes. And I was pretty tired too, because I woke up pretty early, even though Boston's a later start. But get into some warmer clothes, get some compression gear on. And these are Compressed Sport Recovery Socks, of course, another sponsor plug. But I wear these. I wear these on the plane on the way there. I wear these on the plane on the plane flight on the way back. The pressure's designed in the sock. It changes throughout the length of the sock, and you put them on, they're pretty tight, but it's going to help promote that blood flow, help the lower legs, calves recover. And so I just kind of slip that thing on right there like that, and I put those bad boys on, lay it on my bed, get the legs elevated. I don't have it on this leg, obviously. But yeah, that's what I did, and I walked around the rest of the night with my compression socks on. I also, a couple hours later, I was at the pub eating eating some food, maybe drinking a couple beers. You know, it's a time to celebrate, but definitely getting in a solid big meal, decent amount of protein, decent amount of salt, decent amount of everything, carbohydrates, fat, you name it. Good stuff for your body to recover. And so, you know, the rest of the night I actually went to bed pretty early, was not dancing the night away, and I slept a long time. And usually this is hard because, you know, if you travel to a race, you probably have to leave. Maybe you have to leave that night, not always ideal. Long drive or plane flight, not real great, but you can't help it sometimes. You gotta get back home. I didn't have an early morning flight, so I was able to sleep like 10 hours straight. And a lot of people I know, you'd have an early morning flight the next day. But you wanna sleep as long as possible. Sleep is probably the #1 thing, very obvious, but people forget to get your body to recover and to really repair itself. When you're sleeping, especially a deep sleep, you're really repairing yourself and you should feel a lot better after a long sleep. The next day, you know, you could hobble around. I had to hobble around enough for the airport. Still trying to, you know, stay hydrated and eat a lot of food, but I'm not running. I'm not going out for a run. I'm not, I've never have run after a marathon. I could hobble my way along and do a 5-mile jog, and my form would be horrible and everything would hurt because, you know, I could barely walk. But I don't think, like, mentally I need to check out, and I think physically you might as well take, well, we'll get into this, but I'd take at least several days off after the race. And so basically, you know, some movement is good. Hiking or riding a bike or swimming is really good. It's going to promote good blood flow, get the stiffness out basically, but not hard impact, because you're just kind of playing with fire. You're risking injury if you're gonna, you know, go out and run a marathon the next day. It could be done. It could be done, but I'm not one to do it. I want to keep my bones intact, and the tendinitis, long-term injury risk, not worth it. Your immune system's compromised, pretty weak and tired. So, you know, I flew back. And 3-4 days after that, I'm still not running. I rode my bike a couple times. Swimming's great as well. Again, I'm taking 4 or 5 days totally off from running, totally mentally check out. I eat junk food. I don't recommend that always, but mentally I need the break. You know, I don't usually eat a bunch of ice cream and pizza, and I was eating more ice cream and pizza and even Taco Bell. That's kind of like my indulgence after checking out after a race, and I'm not training, I'm not even doing core work. If you could keep that up though, great, more power to you, and if you could eat healthy, that is also great. But I personally do not recommend running for a while after your marathon or ultramarathon race. And, you know, some standard programs will say 2 weeks or, you know, longer. The rule in college we used to have was for every mile that you raced, that would be like the recovery period, that you'd feel the fatigue in your legs. So 10K was 6 miles. You'd have to take, you'd be shot for a week if you raced 10K on the track. So a marathon, you're talking about, you know, most people aren't going to rest a month. They're not going to rest 26 days after racing 26 miles. But I do believe you do feel the fatigue in your legs for several weeks after the race. And even knowing from I did a hard 24-mile training run leading into LA, basically was on pace to run at about a 2:28 marathon, and that was just, you know, in training, going through running 15 to 20 miles a day. I could still feel that workout in my legs though for several weeks, because you get this residual fatigue. And so when you race, when you really lay yourself on the line, you have this residual fatigue build up in your legs. And, you know, maybe you took a whole week off, you didn't run, you're jogging, but you got to be careful when you come back, because that fatigue is still there. That risk for injury is very high. The week after a marathon or ultramarathon race, when people try to rush back into training, that's probably the most risky thing you could do for an overuse injury, besides building up your mileage and intensity too fast too soon. But you are extremely vulnerable to injury, to illness. Your immune system's compromised, like I said before, but the connective tissue is very weak. And tendons, muscles, bones, you name it, you're playing with fire. So I come back, you know, the next week, I took 5 days totally off. I come back, maybe you're coming back only every other day, and I'm jogging like 5-6 miles a day max. And, you know, I'm used to running 100 miles a week, so you have to scale that to your own weekly mileage and experience as well. And, you know, some people could definitely jump right back into, you know, 20-mile long runs if, you know, that's what they like to do. But I come back really slow, and I could do some sort of long run maybe now 2 weeks later, because I got to ramp up my mileage for comrades in 5 weeks, of course, but I'm going really slow, relaxed, easy running, easy pace, and I could still feel tightness in my legs from the marathon race. And I know for another week it's going to be risky for me to throw down in a workout because I have that residual fatigue carrying over from Boston. And so what I'm really saying, I guess, is you really want to, check out, and if it's the end of your season, you could take a longer break, several weeks off. Maybe you're taking a whole month off if you want to totally, shut things down and hit the reset button. But for me, since I'm rushing back into training for the Comrades Marathon, I have to get my my mileage base back up, reestablish an aerobic base. And for most people, they have a racing season and you have future goals, so you want to, you don't want to lose all your fitness, but you want to make sure that you're totally recovered and that you could slowly build back up into training, because it's going to take several weeks. It's going to take several weeks to get my volume back up. We'll probably run about 60 or 70 miles a week, but that's usually, that's like 60% of what I usually run anyway. So it'll take me several weeks just to get back up to my usual training volume. So you could scale that for yourself and play it by ear. If you have a lingering tendinitis, if you have lingering aches or pains, then you definitely want to be a lot more careful with that. You have to be really patient. And it's easier said than done. I know it's really hard sometimes if you have a race coming up, or there's all sorts of pressure, or you just feel like you have to always get back into it. But don't be afraid of jogging really slowly, of just walking, of doing fun other sports or activities that you're not used to doing, as long as you don't pull anything. And just kind of relax and relax when you get back into it, and slowly build back up, because it's kind of like starting from scratch, even though you do have some good residual fitness. So you have the residual fatigue, but you also have a good residual fitness base, and that's really key too, to be able to build off of that. But nothing intense, nothing crazy, nothing real hard for a while, if you want to be in the sport for the long term. And if you want to have fun, I think. Racing a lot is fun too, don't get me wrong, but for a long-term approach, for a healthy approach, this is kind of the method that's worked for me. So also in the days where you're recovering and you're not running, maybe you're doing some extra core work. And when you're getting back into running, these are good routines to also do. Sometimes, I have some aches or pains maybe in my kind of lower back, butt region, hip region, really typical place for a lot of issues. And you get a lacrosse ball, you can get one at a sporting goods store, and just slip it under where the pain is, basically, and kind of give yourself a self massage when it's pressed up on the floor against your lower back, and just kind of roll across on that. And you should really feel it if you have tight spots there. So great kind of self massage. I use the Roll Recovery device for massaging out major muscle groups in the upper legs, especially hamstrings and quads, and then using devices like the stick to get calves or shins, the tendons on the sides of your legs, to just really make sure you're getting good blood flow there. And these are good maintenance techniques to do anyway when you're doing hard training, but I found them especially to be important when I've got all sorts of aches and pains from doing a hard race. And it's going to help you recover, and it's going to help with range of motion, flexibility for your future hard training and races as well. So this is a good types of some of the routines that we'd recommend putting into your recovery weeks and schedule as well. Again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate all the views on these training talks and all the comments. I've been way behind. I'm trying to get back to all the comments since Boston, but I did see them all. So I really do appreciate all the kind words and encouragement. Wish you the best with your future races coming up and your future training. And be sure to comment below with future training talk topics that you'd like to see on this channel, and vote for the ones, because the ones with a lot of thumbs up get my attention and may be featured in a future training talk. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, share this on social media, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.